Level podcast. Your Masonic podcast join the hosts Billy McIntyre and Sam Earl Sedgey as they delve into the world of Freemasonry.
Welcome to yet another episode of On the Level podcast. I'm your host, Sam Earl Sedgey, and with me is my brother from another mother, one of the most famous gunslingers in the realm of Masonry, a proud cowboy, a proud Mason, a great visionary. He is my worshipful brother, Billy McIntyre. How are you, Billy?
Oh, I'm here. I'm here and happy. How are you, Sam?
I'm good. You know what? We had a really good interview with the Rainbow Ladies. And what was fascinating is I think we had the bulk of their grand line. And for those who don't know,
I think we had all but two, I think.
We had all but two. Yeah, we had pretty much, the head honchos and, all of them except for two, as you said. So who are the Rainbow Girls or the ladies? They are an appending body.
Young ladies.
They're a youth organization that is supported by Freemasons, and they are, I believe they are, you can be a Rainbow lady by just joining the organization, and, the Freemasons have, set it up. I believe it was set up in the 1920s by a Freemason, and it does great work in building leadership. And it's run by the young ladies themselves, and it's all about leadership, building that confidence, building those speaking skills, charity, fellowship. Very exciting for that.
They're very well spoken too.
Oh, very well spoken.
I can't emphasize how well spoken they are. They're wise beyond their years.
Oh, wise beyond the. What's really interesting, though, and this is something I can't get around in my head, that fascinates me with this type of particular types of organization, and I speak that same for DeMolay, which is a youth group of younger men, boys who go through the DeMolay program and then can become Master Masons when they become 18-year-olds plus. And then there is the Bethels as well, and is it called Bethels? I forgot that. Job's Daughters. That's right.
Yeah.
Job's Daughters.
No, Job.
That's what they're called. And so what's really interesting is going through those types of organizations with their own amazing rituals that they do, and it's all open form. A lot of people can just go and see what they do. There's not, it's not like in Masonry and that kind of stuff, I believe, and just these good organizations that build character, build leadership, and it's kind of profound to me. It's kind of amazing. That we have those in America. And these are actually uniquely American things, basically, that was developed in the United States of America, which goes to show how prolific Masonry was in America in the early 1900s and 1700s. And we go through that in our Empires and Craft episode. Even appending organizations that was created in America, like the Widow's Sons or the Shriners, or the Grotto. A lot of these things were created at the apex, where at the height of American Freemasonry prior World War II. And you're a Widow's Sons, aren't you, Billy?
Yes, I'm one of those guys that I joined and I couldn't get enough, and I obviously thought I had more income than I had, because everybody you have likes to take a little bit of money, and that little bit of money becomes a lot of money, and dues time comes around and they all want a piece of it, and pretty soon your check's gone. And this is a service message brought to you by On the Level podcast.
Yeah, so you're with the Sons, and what's really cool is they're famous for the motorbike, driving their motorbikes around, and actually it became so popular that us English we adopted that, and there is a strong Widow's Sons body in the United Kingdom. What was really interesting for me is it's so strong that when I was in London not long ago, and I was visiting the craft lodges there, there was one cryptic council. I believe was it Cryptic Council? I think it was no, it was a Royal Arch. There's one Royal Arch chapter that was saved by the Widow's Sons. These Widow's Sons brothers came and says, you know what, we love the history of this chapter. The members are sadly, getting to an
Yeah.
age or have gone to that celestial lodge already. We want to run it and we want to help it. And they came in and they kind of merged in some terms of like there's still Widow's Sons that did that, Widow's Sons and Pen and Body, but their members came
Yeah.
in and then they kind of really got into the Royal Arch, and they still do their Widow's Sons, and it was really nice to see another Appending Body come in and grow another Appending
Yeah.
Bodies chapter, and they just happen to also be. And I met them; these guys are great guys, and when it comes to chapter, they're all suited up. When it comes to Widow's Sons, they've all got their bikers jackets, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And there is some deep meaning behind Widow's Sons, and if you're a Mason, you would understand that a bit more, and it's a bit more emblematic. But what I've seen from the Widow's Sons is they are very tight. They're a tight knit of brothers who love what they do.
Yeah, we're gonna go in. We got some people we're gonna interview with that. We've been blessed. I've talked about it before. We've been blessed with people that would like to be interviewed with our group, and it's unfortunately Sam and I both have. I don't want to say unfortunately, we both have daytime jobs. We're both thankful for, thank you, Lord, for both of us having jobs that keep us employed and keep the lights on. So I don't want to say unfortunately. I don't want to, bring that curse upon us. But it's nice that we have money, but there's just so many days, and time in the day, and we both struggle with, you know, finding time to interview these gentlemen and ladies. And so we got people that want to come on. It's just getting the time to get them all on. And so we're gonna bring a, interview to you with some people that want to come on and explain it better than I could because they're in the upper echelons of the state groups. And but they ride, they bring in a lot of charity for a lot of groups, but they're a tight knit group, and it's a lot of brotherhood in there, and a lot of fun. But it's mostly about fun and brotherhood. You'll It's easier to let them explain, so we won't go too deep in that. We'll just let the experts do it.
Absolutely. I just find it interesting that how Masonry has had such a positive impact in the United States, and out of that, has kind of like created some more appending bodies of Freemasonry. Even the Scottish Rite, although it kind of started in France, it really kind of like bloomed in the US, and it became a really big thing and a real big deal in the US. So there's a lot of US centric things that happen that it's not necessarily everywhere else around the world. Although different pockets and different jurisdictions may have some of it, I might just find it fascinating. And again, when it comes to Rainbow Girls, I'm super impressed. I mean, guys, listen into the interview and listen to what these girls have got to say, and you get fired up in the sense of, well, how can we support them more? What can we do in our lodges to support them more? And so when you get into stated meeting and the secretary receives a letter asking for some financial support for some sort of donation, do what you can within the means that you have to make a donation, because these are some fabulous young bunch of youths who are doing some great work, and it's always inspiring and always gives me more hope. And I wish that these youth organisations were proliferated all over the USA and across the world, because I think we would be better off for it in the future
Yeah,
of having more great
I'd like to
leaders.
say something on that too. I don't know if it's just down in the part of the state that I'm in, and I don't know other states. I don't know if it's just down here. Don't It doesn't seem to me, and I talked to the ladies in the interview, and you'll see it doesn't seem like they get as much notoriety where I am that than the Jobs do. And I don't take anything away from any of the youth groups because I really respect a lot of it, all of them. They all do good work, and they all teach these young men and young ladies to speak so well. If you get a chance to listen to these guys and ladies, oh, you'll be so impressed. When you hear them talk, you'll think you're talking to adults. And trust me, if you're ever in a group, especially with younger people, and you get a chance to listen to them talk in a work setting, a lot of these younger people have trouble speaking to anybody in person because the way technology is now, they don't have to speak in public. They don't have to have a communication just one-on-one with someone. They don't have to write a letter. They don't have to because everything is with texting and communication the way it is now, everything's abbreviated. So it's so difficult for a younger person now to communicate. And these
Exactly.
people, they don't have to. And
Absolutely.
so what I'm getting at is the rainbows don't seem to get the notoriety down here that the Jobs and the Demolay does. And so I want you guys, if you get a chance, reach out to these ladies and take a look at them because I mean these ladies are every bit as good as and as ingrained as the others are, and these ladies are wonderful. So
Oh, I
take a
think
look at the good works they're doing.
I think they're in the same sort of mode as the Craft Lodges and D
Yeah.
Malay and Job's Daughters. We're in a phase of rebuilding. We're in a phase post COVID, and I think, as I said, we've kind of identified our apex pre World War Two and World War One for a lot of our organizations, and we've been spending decades in trying to rebuild, and there's a lot more to rebuild in terms of, I'm always saying trying to rebuild that second temple. But I think what's really important that you touched on, not just for the youths through Rainbows or Demolay who are listening in and listeners around the world, and Job's Daughters or our fellow brethren across the world, is, there is, I think there's something to the fact of putting your phone down, not doom scrolling constantly, and doing something else. I've learnt to, check my phone maybe 2 or 3 times a day, maybe on busier days, 6, 7, 8 times. If it's work related, yes, I'm constantly on it, constantly using it. Same thing with like the podcast. If we need to communicate some stuff, yes, use it. But I think there's a danger with these devices that you can burn hours by just doing nothing but being subjugated, whether it's endless doom and gloom news or hyperbolic news or endless doom scrolling and just watching funny stuff, silly stuff, and that kind of like observation. And I think sometimes you just got to switch it off and be active and spend time with your boy or your daughter or your wife, and spend time, more of them talking. You where we get our internal happiness from is, spending time with our loved ones. Number one, I think is very important for us Masons, obviously. God, family, business, and Masonry, but going to lodge, spending time with your lodge brethren. Maybe put down the phone and doom scroll and brush up on some of that ritual that you're going to have to give in a couple of weeks' time, and enjoy the ritual and find some more meaning in reading, which is always great, whether it's ritual, craft ritual, whether it's just picking up a good book, whether you use a book or a Kindle or whatever. I guess what I'm trying to say is we're in an age where these ladies are so impressive when they're bombarded by so many distractions, good distractions, bad distractions, and they're so excited to congregate together, get together and do all these types of functions and their grand sessions and the camping that they do, and then to be able to socialize and interact, and that all builds up confidence, learn from each other to, get on to this new world. And that gives me a lot of hope. That brings me a lot of warmth. And I think if we are more wise with the fantastic, phenomenal technology we've got, but learn to control it and be masters of it, and not let the device be our masters and dictate our moods and our feelings and burn into our time, and not to forget, because a lot of times, man, I go around the world, anywhere, whether it's where I am here or whether I'm in England or in America, and I go to
Hmm.
these, and I go and I eat to these restaurants, I see these families all looking at these screens. It's like they're there, but
Hmm.
they're not there. No one's talking to
Right.
each other. And so, in my household, when we're eating, phones are banned. When we're sitting together,
Right.
phones are banned. We do play computer games together, but we're playing it and we're talking constantly with each other, communicating about what we're going to
Right.
do in that particular game. It's a social event where there's three of us in the same household, playing the same game basically, or spending time or talking, or let's say I'm just too burnt out to play, or I'm not in the mood, watching my son play, but sitting next to him, asking him questions, what he's doing, because I have a common interest. Like we're both gamers. My wife's a gamer as well. But what I'm trying to say is, you don't have to be a gamer. It could be whatever you guys are into. Is spend that
Well,
time together. Go on, you about to say yes. Go on.
well, think about if, in my opinion, and I feel like the people that are running the computer, the programming, and the whether it be YouTube, Facebook, TikTok. I'm so used to. I made fun. This old guy one time kept telling me about Tic Tac, and I didn't know what the heck he was talking about. He was talking about TikTok, but ever since he's called it Tic Tac, and he kept telling me about Tic Tac, and I didn't know what he was talking about. Well, he finally found out to talk about TikTok. Now I call it Tic Tac, and I have to watch myself because it's
TikTok.
so funny. I call it the Tic Tac, Tic Tac. Anyway, so Tic Tac. Um, I think they're conditioned us to they give people this, short attention span, and, because everything is so short, you get your instant gratification, and I think people's getting so conditioned for that. That's what people want, and so they have to get their instant gratification, and we gotta be careful of that. People don't have the attention span to, watch something that's more than 10 or 15 minutes, and they're bored, and you can watch that in the lodge when they're getting degrees and stuff after a few minutes or wandering their eyes or wandering around in movies and stuff. People just don't have the attention. And,
And, that,
we
and
got
that's and
really got to
that's
be
not good.
vigilant of that.
That's not
It's
good.
scary.
It's scary. What I guess what I'm trying to say is, be able to master your time, but also make your time precious, because
Well, look how
you
easy it is. If you let yourself, you talk about doom scrolling.
yeah,
Look how easy it is to start watching that crap and look up and 2 hours are gone. It used to be easy to watch two or three programs on TV and you think, oh my gosh, what happened in the afternoon? It's gone. Look how
exactly,
easy it is to lose the whole day on the
exactly.
computer.
Well
Oh
said.
my gosh, it's
Well,
just
and
gone.
that's what I'm saying is, master your time well. Your time on this earth is precious. Make it precious. And if
Yeah.
your time isn't precious, make it precious. And trust me, you would feel for your well-being. Some people talk mental health, all that kind of stuff. Trust me, the finer things in your life will make you more wholesome. Seeing the
Well, the
smiles,
older you get, the
yeah,
faster that time goes, I promise you.
absolutely, seeing smiles on your loved ones' faces by having conversations, going down, whatever you do, whether like for me, going down the local club, rolling some dice with my friends, or meeting friends and having a good time, having conversation, and then getting something to eat, having something, that kind of physical kind of like connection of talking about your favorite war game, or that's for me, but it could be anything. Those I think are more important, and the reason why I'm talking about this is, it's nice to see a youth organization off their phones, off the doom scrolling, being
Yeah.
active, doing something, and not constantly on this thing, which I think is problematic. In fact, so problematic that I kind of like sent an idea of a policy of, personally, again, and this might be draconian, but I personally think, in my own opinion, and my opinion counts for me anyway, is, I hope in England at some point, kids to until they're adults, I don't think they should have a mobile phone. I didn't have a mobile phone, and
Right.
I don't think those things. They've got much better things to do. And one thing we forget is, the products which we call apps are there developed to
Yeah.
have your constant attention, so constant usage, so you can be constantly advertised or curated to a particular type of product. This isn't your innocent type of point
Right.
and click. It wasn't like the PC where there was a word software and it was dull and boring. And the PC, you had to have a PC back in the 80s and 90s, you're a bit of a nerd, and it wasn't a cool thing to do. Now it's everyone's got a tiny PC in their mobile phone that does all sorts of things.
Oh, that can do twice or 3 or 4 times what a
Absolutely,
PC could do.
absolutely. And look, there's a time. There's a
There's
time.
there's more there's more power in
Absolutely.
that phone than what they took to the moon.
Yeah. Well, I remember having a Commodore 64, and that was an
Yeah.
old PC, and you would put a tape to play a game for the program. It was a cassette tape,
Yeah.
and you put the cassette tape
Yeah.
in, and you'll press play, and it'll take like 2 minutes or a minute to load the particular game or software, which was hilarious. But now
Mhm.
when I think about it, so we're very blessed. We're very blessed in being in this apex of our time in terms of technology at our fingertips. The fact that you and me are talking between thousands of miles between each other and be able to interview these people and you don't have to be in the same room to do it. And then again, you don't have to be a journalist who was a part of a newspaper or magazine and write a set of questions and then meet someone there and then record it and then having to go back to your office and then you have to write it all up and type it and then you have to print it,
Right.
and then a month later or a week later, if you happen to purchase that particular magazine, have access to that
And
interview
and then distribute it all over the world,
and distribute all over the world.
by rail or by truck or, yeah.
Exactly. So we're in this unique place where we're gifted by tech, but I guess what we're trying to say is become the master of tech. Make it as productive for you as possible. Use it in its most productive sense. If you want to create these great emails, use the technology of AI to assist you. Don't let it do the work for you, but just check, assist to make sure your intent is well written or whatever, and then add more to it yourself. If you want to, create something or contact someone, help someone, use that tech, but just don't fall into the trap of it consuming you, and then suddenly the people around you become strangers, and the phone becomes the all-being and all-seeing thing. And the reason why I'm stating this is that when you listen to this interview coming up, and you listen to this youth organization and their focus on what they do and the physical activities that they do as well, and the passion they have to get together, socialize, and continue to grow this organization. And these are just very young ladies. It's just remarkable, absolutely remarkable, and it gives me
You
hope.
won't have to you won't have to wonder who the world leaders are gonna be when you listen to these young ladies talk. These ladies will be front and center.
There you go. And as usual, by ancient tradition and ancient rituals of old, have you any last words, Billy?
I do. Godspeed. Welcome again to On the Level podcast with Billy and Sam. And tonight we are most honored to have with us the grand officers from the Illinois Rainbow for Girls. And tonight we have Jalen Kelfer, Grand Worthy Advisor. We have Stephanie.
Kiefer.
Oh, see, I
Sorry.
already messed that up, guys. I told you went with this. I went over this with these girls, but here I am going again. So Stephanie Sheelan, Grand Worthy Associate Advisor. Jalen Sturgis, Grand Charity. Leland Braun, Grand Hope. Gabby Cruz, Grand Faith. Did I mess anybody else's name up?
It's Lily Blasius.
See, there we go. See, guys, the people listen knows I do this all the time. And girls, I apologize. I told you I was going to mess it up. But these girls were very nice to come on and talk to you a little bit so we could learn a little bit more about Rainbow for Girls. So, girls, if we get started with a few things, tell us a little bit about Rainbow for Girls for the people that don't know.
Sure. So we're open to any girls ages 10 to 20, and then we have multiple jurisdictions in the US and also across the US. And one of our three main lessons is faith, hope, and charity. and we do a lot of service projects. Yeah, mostly, yeah, it's a nonprofit service organization as well, sponsored by Freemasons. And yeah, we do so much service, and you learn public speaking skills, and mostly just forming um, long-term friendships as well. So
That's awesome. So if I understand right, it was formed what is 1922, but it come into
yes,
Illinois
correct.
pretty much right after that, right?
Correct. Yeah, it was formed in Oklahoma, and then Illinois joined shortly after. Yeah.
And that's pretty cool.
hmm
And it just spread out pretty good. So how big is Illinois compared to the other states? With I mean
So
now.
yeah, so we're Illinois is one of the largest jurisdictions. Some of the other larger ones that we see is California, Georgia, Texas, and Illinois is not that far behind. I don't know the exact numbers. Our state executive committee knows the exact numbers, but I would say I think 2 years ago we were around at least top 15 jurisdictions. So we are, and compared to also some of the jurisdictions that I visited too, I do feel like we have one of the larger representations and yeah, larger jurisdictions. Yeah.
That's cool. So excuse me. Could we go through all the girls and tell us how many years you've been involved with the Rainbow?
Stephanie, if you want to go first and then I'll loop around on the end.
I joined Rainbow in September of 2016, so I've been in for like 9 years, if I remember correctly.
Okay. And so Jalen
Um,
Sturgis.
yeah. Hi, I'm Jalen Sturgis. I'm Grand Charity for the International Order of the Rainbow for Girls. I joined Rainbow 6 years ago when the age just got changed to 10 years old because it used to be that we joined at 12 years old, but then it got moved down to 10. And I was one of like the first generations that joined at 10 years old. So I've been in for 6 years now, and it's definitely impacted my life for the better.
That's great.
I'm Lily and I'm Grand Hope, and I have been in Rainbow for the same amount of time. I joined October of 2019, so going on 6 years.
Okay.
And I'm Gabby Grand Faith, and I just about am at 5 years with how long I've been in Rainbow, but I've been involved since I was about 6 years old.
That's great.
And then I'm Jalen Kiefer Grand, worthy advisor. I joined November of 2018, so I just surpassed my 7th year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
So what do you think that Rainbow teaches young ladies that help prepare them better for the future?
I would definitely say, this is Jalen Sturgis. I would definitely say it prepares ladies for definitely the career aspect. In our meetings, we learn how to run business meetings and kind of organize events and fundraising and how to work as a team and put things together. But also it helps with finding yourself and coming out of your shell. I know when I first joined, I was shy, and a lot of girls say this. I was really shy into myself, but like traveling and getting to know girls around the state, and like even if you go out of state and travel to other jurisdictions, it can be a great thing to come out of your shell and really find yourself as a person, I think.
If I may add on a little bit to that, this is Gabby
Sure,
Grand
please.
Faith. I think, like Jalen was saying, it gives girls something in common. So when you travel out, you know you're both sisters in Rainbow, and if I may say this, like we have 7 virtues, and that we kind of live by. So like these virtues kind of like help us form a new philosophy about how we should go through our life, you know, of just like instilling these virtues and these lessons that we learn and keeping them throughout the remainder of our life.
If I may ask, what are these 7 virtues?
Jalen, is it okay if I say them?
Yeah, Of
All right.
course.
So, love, religion, nature, immortality, fidelity, patriotism, and service.
And they're based off of the colors of the rainbow. So love going with the color red to go on with the name. That's why we're called Rainbow.
That's pretty awesome. Those are some
So it's
excellent virtues.
absolutely. So it's based off the Bible, correct?
We are kind of a religious organization. We do have a religion station, but in the station we talk about how all religions are accepted, not just necessarily Christianity, but we do say that you should be associated with some church, but that's not required.
Yeah,
Hey,
so yeah, we don't have a required religion or anything, but there are biblical references in our ritual and biblical verses that can be seen. But just like Freemasonry as well,
right.
the only requirement that you need is to believe in a supreme being. But you can see some implements of biblical references in our ritual.
That's like I was going to say. That's like
Yeah.
masonry. You know, you have to believe in a supreme being,
Hmm.
but if you really look, all of our teachings come right out of the Holy Bible. So I'm not saying that. Right. Never mind. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. So I
So,
know what you're saying.
I'm very interested in exactly what Rainbow, the organisation, does, especially for the ladies like yourselves. And one of you mentioned that you kind of find yourself, it builds your confidence, gives you a sense of energy and team building. How have you been able to interact after? I mean, you're all part of the Grand Line, and we're very honoured to have you here. First of all, um, what drives you girls doing this? Why are you spending your time volunteering? What is? I think I know some of the answers because if it's similar to Freemasonry, I guess some of it's got to do with the fellowship and the bonding that you girls have together, which is fantastic. But what's your drive? What gets you get up and excited doing this and being part of this organization?
I think for me, this is Jalen Kiefer speaking. It always my relationship with Rainbow has changed a lot throughout my experience, but I feel like regardless, it always was a release from my school and my everyday life to just not worry about everything else that's going on with school or anything and just give myself another, I guess, outlet for social interactions. And even more than that, I've always enjoyed kind of my something that I've seen that I've gotten out of Rainbow is definitely my public speaking skills have improved drastically. I've learned so much about how to retain attention when speaking to someone and all of those things. And then more some of the service aspects that I've learned. I talk about so much when interviewing. I wrote about it when I applied to college and things like that. And I feel like as well, you can just see the support that not only Rainbow gives, but our sponsoring bodies like Freemasonry. I'm lucky enough to have a Grand Lodge scholarship, so that has supported me in so many ways. And just seeing the additional support that Rainbow and Freemasonry is giving me to live my dreams and to fulfill those those I guess like dreams that I have for my career as well. So that's why I continue to do what I do.
It's very well spoken.
Well said.
Well,
Well,
I've noticed. Go ahead, Sam.
no, it's okay. Go on, Billy.
I was just going to say I've noticed that, in speaking to all the other youth organizations, that public speaking is really something that'll carry any youth way farther than anything. And you mentioned bringing you out of your shell. That's something that so many youth struggle with today that they didn't used to nearly as much in the past. But just the way the technology has carried the youth forward in a positive way as well as a negative way, that we don't have as much public speaking as we was forced to in the past. So I think it's a wonderful thing, and I think that you guys are learning skills now that'll carry you way farther than it would without this. So I think it's awesome. And I had talked to Jalen uh, before. I'd like to see if you guys are willing to carry these on, that we could follow you guys through the years, like next year, possibly even catching up with you guys and just seeing how you guys progress through the line if you're willing to do that. So hopefully, and I mean, we're not done with the interview now, but I mean,
Mhm.
if you guys are willing to come back on and visit with us again and just see how you progress as you go through.
So
Yeah. I also,
no,
sorry.
no, go on, go on.
I also do feel like, just like as in Freemasonry as well, our leadership, at least in the girl standpoint, does drastically change year to year. So, for example, next year I would not be a sitting officer anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be old. So,
Oh,
so
not yet.
then,
You won't.
so then, yeah, Stephanie would take over me, and I feel like that's the beauty of it as well, that you always have, also in Freemasonry as well, you always have this constant changeover to see
Mm-hmm.
new ideas. And I also just love that that's how our organization functions as well. But yeah.
So my question to you ladies would be, um, what leadership roles do you, what sense of responsibility do you have to your organisation? Explain a bit more about what you girls do within your organisation as Grand Ladies, and what are your responsibilities? What is your vision this year as the head of the organisation and the rest of the team? Because you all must have a shared vision. You must be very excited. It's a great honour to be on any Grand Line, and I'm very interested in seeing what your vision is, what your mission is, and where you're at.
So this year, our Grand Line, well, all of us fundraise through raffle baskets at all of our events, our state events, for different things. We all have different things that we fundraise for. Me personally, I fundraise for Jalen's grand charity, which she can talk about that as her little goal or whatever. But it's my job to add to the number for the total at the end of the year for her grand charity, and also to teach the girls that charity and charitable deeds are a thing that should be a part of your life and not just things that you should do for a little pat on the back. It should be a part of your life that you carry with you and continue to practice. Um, but yeah.
That's great.
This is Gabby Grand Faith, and I just wanted to say something that I think we all kind of share in like our wants to like help the organization is we are so like committed to helping the younger girls kind of experience what we have, the friendship and the fellowship and the bonds that we've made. We want every girl who joins our organization to kind of have that opportunity. And as Grand Faith, I help the girls through their initiation, kind of like to symbolize that faith is always by your side. And so it's kind of like I walk them through the initiation. We go to Lily, who shows them that hope is a constant in your life, and then to Jalen, who shows them that um our life derives from charitable deeds.
The next question is, obviously there's ritual involved, and I'm a ritualist. I love ritual. I love degree work. I love putting a sense of character in the rituals that I do. I think some of them are very have a lot of meaning. They have a lot of depth. What is the ritual like in the Rainbow Girls?
So the main aspects that I think that people look at throughout our ritual, and I feel like if you would watch anyone who watch our initiatory degrees, the first thing that I think you would see is our 7 color stations. And that's kind of also why our organization is called Rainbow as well, and the lessons that um, Gabby went through, that all of those share. And then kind of also what Gabby's going through as well. So throughout our initiation, the candidate first um, arrives at hope, which symbolizes hope is always there, hope always awaits you, things like that. But then Stephanie's station, Grammarly Social Advisor, kind of is a moment that symbolizes do not be overly proud. You have to, even though you walked through this initiation, do not be, yeah, always stay humble, always
Almost a
stay true to
reflection.
yourself, I would say as well. Um, so yeah, even though Gabby spoke about it a little, I feel like it's important to interject that aspect of the role of worthy sociovisor as well.
That's awesome. And so you talked about charity being very important, something that I actually agree with. There's a lot of people within the local communities and anywhere that needs a lot of help. And sometimes I always say to my brothers, we're it. There's nobody else. You'd be surprised, how many people need help and how few there are to help with all the great and nice, fantastic corporations there are around the world and so forth. So my question to you is, what do you identify in your charity? I mean, for example, what is the charity that you are supporting this year, and how do you identify the needs of your local community?
Yeah, so our grand charity this year, the Grandmother Advisor always gets to pick what the grand charity is that the state is working towards to fundraise for. And this year I chose One Tail at a Time. It is a transportation system that transports rescue animals from southern states and brings them up to the Chicagoland area to be adopted. For me, that was crucial to me since I grew up around rescue animals my whole life. I have a pit bull named Cheddar that's from Oklahoma. And honestly, through my grand charity, it's formed more of a community than I assumed. Kind of when I go to sponsoring events and I say my speech and I say what the grand charity is, what it does. Sometimes I've had people come up to me and show me their rescue animals, like photos of them, and that's always so heartwarming to me. But every year it's something different. So last year we fundraised for the Children's Dyslexia Center. We fundraised for the Shriners Transportation system and different things like that. So every year it's always something different and it's always impacting the community in some different way.
Awesome. Now,
And we don't
go on, carry on.
and we don't always do money. So this is Jalen Sturgis talking. Jalen talked about how last year we raised for the Dyslexia Center. We also sometimes do fun things where we also collect books. So the Dyslexia Center said that other donations that they would take were school supplies or things that could help the kids with activities and things that could engage them. And so the assemblies were open to bringing donations of books and other supplies to the state events for us to donate as well, on top of any other money donations that would go to the organization.
That's fantastic. One of the things that I look forward to when I go to my lodge or go out when I travel around the world or when I'm in Illinois is I always look for a good feast. This is a place where after we meet, we celebrate, we talk. It's a good place to bond and get to know your fellow brother. What type of events and stuff do you ladies do for fun amongst within the Rainbow organization? What are the fun activities that you do together and the other local lodges? Is lodges the correct word that I use for rainbows, or do you call it something else? So my first question is, what do you do for fun as an organization, and what do you call yourselves? Lodges or Bethels, all that kind of stuff?
Something my local assembly does is host holiday parties where we obviously eat a ton of food and sweets, and we play games related to it. Like last month, we had a like holidays party, and we played a bunch of games, and sometimes we do karaoke. And after every established meeting, we have refreshments to sit down and talk as a moment to socialize after the meetings.
This is Jalen Sturgis.
Oh, go on, Dennis. So just go on.
As a state, we do have something kind of fun in the summertime. We have a week of Rainbow Camp where it's the girls around the state go to a campsite and we sleep in tents and we learn about our organization and all the different aspects about it. Not only just our practices and what we do in our meetings, but also what Rainbow can do for your future. But then we also have a lot of fun during this. We have rec time and there's a pool and we do tons of games and listen to music and a ton of crafts. The food is always great because we have the best chefs there. And it's just a lot of sisterhood and a lot of good times. Like Rainbow Camp, I feel like is definitely a highlight for the year for the entire state. And a great way for the state and the local girls to come together and just have fun.
That sounds awesome. That sounds awesome. When you say you do karaoke, do you get together and go to a karaoke place and sing, or do you get a karaoke machine and sing songs? We don't do karaoke in Masonry. I've never been invited to a karaoke thing, and although
There's a reason for that too.
oh, but that sounds absolute. That sounds like an absolute blast. And I'm just trying to, it'll be people listening around the world to this. This is a unique phenomenon, and in terms of the Rainbow Girls and what you girls do, and I think it's fantastic. And if girls around the world and parents around the world who have daughters want to reach out and say, hey, this is something that I would, sounds like I would like my daughter to sign up to, or the particular individual herself would like to sign up to. How would they do that? How do they get involved?
Yeah, so on our international website, which is just gorainbow.org, there is like a little tab on there that shares with you can put like your zip code in and it will show you where the nearest assembly is. Close. That's what we call like kind of our Masonic, what you guys call lodges, we call it assemblies. Um,
Right.
but yeah, on there you can put your zip code in and it will show you the closest assembly near you and the contact information of the mother advisor as well. More than that, we do try to do a lot of outreach too. I know local assemblies have done going to like school fairs. We some of our service projects too, like we bring pamphlets and things like that. And then when I went to Grand Lodge um, this year, I brought like just a lot of different things for our table there too. But if you just hear about it one day and want to know more about it, yeah, there is that resource we can find the nearest assembly near you and that mother advisor, which is like our leader advisor for that certain local assembly to get involved and hopefully join that assembly.
Billy, this is
Okay,
this is
I got a
pretty.
couple
This,
questions.
yeah,
If you,
I would
oh,
say. So I would say, Billy, this is pretty awesome. It's really
yeah,
exciting
it is.
listening to these ladies and about this organization, and it's really good for Freemasons within the state of Illinois and outside, just to listen to hear what they do. And there's a lot of lodges that may not be aware of the fantastic work that these ladies do, these grand ladies and their organization does, and it warms the heart. And there's a lot more support that we can do for this astute organization. But go on, go for your questions. But it's
Well,
just very exciting.
sure. It's no. I'm glad, and because these are questions that I think other people, if this is questions that, and I was I don't know if you remember me, but last year I know I've seen several of you young
Mhm.
ladies because I was most illustrious Grand Master with the Cryptic Council,
Yes.
and so I should know these things, but unfortunately, I've been around, but in most of the places I was around, the Job's daughters are. Uh, I know that's terrible to say. They're more prevalent than the rainbow. But is there as many rainbow groups around as there is Job's daughters, or is Job's daughters bigger than Rainbow Girls?
If I may speak a little bit on this, this is
Please.
Gabby and Grand Faith. I'm a part of a Bethel, but I primarily do Rainbow.
Okay.
Job's Daughters is a much smaller jurisdiction in Illinois than Rainbow is.
Okay.
They're just as mighty, they're just as amazing, and I love my Joby sisters.
Yeah.
It is there are a lot more advisors in Job's
Okay.
Daughters than there are in Rainbow, who have
Okay.
a lot. For example, in my Bethel, we have 4 um adults who are
Okay.
kind of like our mother advisors.
Yeah.
um, and so it's a lot. I would say a lot more tied in with just Freemasonry and other Masonic groups that aren't just youth groups. With
Okay.
Rainbow, it's a lot more girl led. It's a lot
Okay.
of like girls running meetings and things like that. So I think it's just the difference of just involvement with like your local lodges and things like that.
Okay. Well,
Hmm.
no, I hope you don't take disrespect to that because I didn't mean it that way. You know,
Oh
I
no, not at
just
all.
I just wanted to get that out because I think people want to know. You know, I just curious because I really I see both groups doing good things and they both seem. I didn't know if that was something that a lot of people joined both, or if that's just something that some people just do one or the other. I just kind of curious how that worked. So,
Yeah. This is Jalen Kiefer speaking, but statistically wise, Rainbow does have more membership. But as Gabby was saying, I do feel like we, compared to Job's, have more of a disconnect in some way. Because a lot of I don't even know, just like a lot of Job's, yeah, I just feel like they, as Gabby was saying, they have more advisors that I feel that are more um or even like the girls specifically too. I don't know much about Jobs. I'm not a member of Jobs like I am as Rainbow, so I don't want to speak on behalf of them, but just myself speaking, even though Rainbow is meant for um like traditionally it's meant for the daughters um of a Mason.
uh huh.
Myself, none of my paternal or like father figures where I was growing up was never a Mason.
Okay.
I joined this organization because of my mom. She was in it when she was my age, and she was the one who kind of opened my eyes to it. So I
Okay.
feel like that's a large part of it too, is that a lot of these girls um, don't have like, I guess, like fathers or grandfathers that are um, Freemasons. The only requirement needed, and I think Joby's is different, but the only requirement needed to be a Rainbow Girl is to be a friend of a Rainbow Girl.
That's
Okay.
right. That's right.
Yeah,
So the
yeah.
distinct difference is the Job's daughters are primarily related to Freemasons. I'm not sure if the
Hmm.
rules have changed in that case, but that was the historic and traditional. And the Rainbows was basically, as you said, friend of Rainbows, and obviously. It would make sense in terms of having a wider outreach, and I just the rainbows are particularly both interest me quite a bit because I think you do fantastic jobs, and it's just really nice to see these ladies, with these leadership roles and these excellent, eloquent speakers, and it gets me very excited about you ladies take once you get onto the job market and in leadership roles, whether you take civic roles or whether you go to the private sector. Leadership is what I think the world needs, and whether it's the USA and other places, and the world needs leadership and having strong, independent women who are able to organize, are able to get together and do things with the rest of the community and the rest of the world and lead is extremely important, especially in the age that we're at, and common sense and all that kind of stuff is very much needed, and the fact that you are continuing values and traditions that were set in 1922, and
22.
yeah,
Yeah.
and have even more profound uh, history regarding the links to Freemasonry, which go back quite a way. If you listen to our podcast and listen to my boring voice of the histories and all that kind of stuff, so it's just phenomenal. And so what the question I have, and we touched a bit of fun and the activities, and what you girls do together and ladies do in terms of fun is. What are you looking forward to? If you had a vision of where you wanted the rainbow to be in 5 years, because here's the thing, this is the grand line, and my understanding is at one point all of you would be where our astute leader Jalen here is at. So what is your kind of vision? Where would you like to be? So the current incumbent, I guess you, madam, you want obviously to recruit more people, have a great retention, do a lot for charity, have some great fellowship. But what is the 5 year plan? I mean, what is your ideal vision of where all you girls want to be and what you want to do? Where would you like to see Rainbow in 5 years?
So this is Jalen Kiefer speaking. I just wanted to quickly interject. I want someone else to answer that question, but I want to kind of explain how our Grand Line is different than Freemason,
Oh,
like as like you guys' Grand Line.
right.
So to my understanding, for you guys, it's you start at the bottom of the line and then you work your way up.
That's right.
So for us, the only position that advances from to Grand Worthy Advisor is Grand Worthy Associate Advisor. That's the only position that directly advances to Grand Worthy Advisor. The bottom three, Charity, Hope, and Faith, have to be elected to Grand Worthy Associate Advisor um, directly to advance to Grand Worthy Advisor. So it doesn't really move in this kind of snake that it does for Freemasonry,
Right, right.
if that
That
kind of
make
makes
so
sense. So
that
the
makes
bottom
that makes
three,
sense.
yeah. hmm
That's a pretty awesome system. So the bottom three are elected. So are they? So are the bottom three appointed normally, or are they also elected?
they're all elected,
Right,
but
right.
those bottom three are not guaranteed to advance directly to Grand Worthy Advisor.
And then I guess is it normal that one of the three gets elected to Grand Worthy Advisor?
It is normal. It's not always the case every time. But for example, I was Grand Faith 2 years ago, what Gabby is right now. So I was a part of the bottom three at one time.
Okay.
Um, and then it is normal, but the bottom three, those girls have the decision to decide if they would like to advance to Grand Worthy Associate Advisor. Well, they have the decision for the girls to elect them, to go through qualifications and have their name on the ballot for Grand Worthy Associate Advisor.
That's awesome.
So um, when I so yeah, so that is cool, I guess. I mean, I feel like for me too, it is such a major decision. I mean, even right now, when I was deciding if I wanted to run for Grammarly Social Advisor, I had no idea that I would be at college at the University of Illinois right now or anything like that.
Oh wow.
So I think that because of how developmental um, the age, like the stages that a teenager goes through, I do like the decision that um, you don't kind of do the snake through that Freemasonry does, and that it's only um, like a 2 year kind of locked in commitment for Grand with the advisor. So you can really decide what, like, because I mean, as a 16-year-old, you have no idea what your life is even going to look like at
Right,
18. I
right,
mean, you have no idea where you're
absolutely.
going to go to college or anything like that. So I think that's the beauty as well. Yeah, but I think DMLA does that system as well, where their deputy is the only one that advances directly to state master counselor. So it is a little like that.
So what happens? What happens? So this is your year. Beyond that year, I mean, what kind of residue or connections? I mean, do you? Well, here's the question: when do you stop being a rainbow girl, and then what happens afterwards?
Yeah, so you're the last girls majority at 20, but you can get an extension until 21. So the requirements are 10 to 20, but you can get the extension to 21. And then after that, the choice is yours if you would like to one day be a mother advisor, or I mean, even when I'm majority out at 20, I'm 18 right now. I still in my life want to go to Grand Assembly every year. I feel like that's when even majority Rainbow Girls, is when we all come together, just like as your Grand Lodge.
That's awesome.
And I always loved seeing, even with my mom, like all my mom's friends when she was in Rainbow, seeing that connection as well of everyone just coming back together. So honestly, the choice is always yours. If you would like to be a prominent advisor, or if you're just an advisor that comes to Grand Assembly every year, or if like you move away, the choice is always yours of what that post rainbow active member looks like.
That's amazing. Is there anything else any of you ladies would like to add to that?
This is Stephanie Sheehan, Grand Worthy Associate Advisor. One thing I would like to add on to what Jalen was saying is it also differs based on jurisdiction how our Grand Line works. Not all jurisdictions in Rainbow get to elect their Grand Line. Some of them are appointed instead.
Oh, wow. Okay,
And who appoints them, if I could ask?
So that appointment works on Stephanie, I completely forgot about that. So yeah, in Illinois, we're lucky enough to have the girls elect the top 5 members. So I think it really just depends on jurisdiction. If their supreme deputy or supreme inspector appoints the Grand Worthy Advisor, or if if a committee appoints, it really is up to the state and the jurisdiction of what they would like to do. But I am so fortunate that in Illinois we have the opportunity for the girls to elect who they see best fit as a leader in the state.
All right. So I've got one final question for each of you. Billy, if you've got any more, then fire away. My one final question is, if there's one thing that you would want someone to understand about Rainbow and what makes you guys tick and what you love about it, to parents and mothers and fathers listening in around the world and women of that, you ladies are very young compared to me. I'm an old man, old Englishman, but I'll be very interested to see what would you want to say to the world and people listening in the state of Illinois and around the world about Rainbow Girls. And I think, Billy, I think it will be really important to have these ladies back on at some point, because I really would like to delve a bit more, because a lot of our brethren hopefully have got a lot, like I have, out of this fantastic interview about the Rainbow Girls and what you do. And it personally, when I go to lodge, when I'm back, definitely, you've got a champion here who would want to support, the events and, whatever we can do on our end in supporting you via donations and all that kind of stuff. And it's just being aware. There's so much stuff going on in the world, and it's very important that there is a connection between our organizations within the fraternity. And I would love to see the Rainbow Girls in terms of coming in and having talks in the lodges and letting us know what you're doing and all that fantastic, amazing stuff that you do. It's just so important to support the youth, and especially organizations like you ladies who are just absolutely amazing and blow me away when I see you in the grand sessions with everything that you girls do. And I'm very much interested in tradition and history of organizations, so maybe we can delve into that next time. So if we could go one by one, if you had a message, what would it be? And let's start with Gabriel.
All right, so this is Gabby Grand Faith, and I think one thing that I want most people to know about Rainbow is that it is in no way a place of judgment. There are so many things that people think they have to do in their life. So many societal pressures and boxes that we get put into in our everyday life that we think we have to commit to. But when you're in Rainbow, you don't necessarily have any of those things. For example, one of my best friends in Rainbow really does not like performing ritual. And she felt for a really long time that she had to keep trying and she had to keep pushing herself too. And at one point she had to talk with our mother advisor about it. And my mother advisor was like, you don't have to do it if you don't want to. It's up to you. Like, you decide what you get out of this organization. And I know, especially at Rainbow Camp and other statewide events, I see girls expressing themselves in so many different ways, but it's never judgment. It's always who they want to be. If they want to be an outsider, if they want to be a wallflower, if they want to be someone who just is a social butterfly and talks to everyone. It's never about judgment or putting people into boxes. It's about truly expressing yourself and figuring out who you are, and the most important part of development when it comes to finding out who you are. It's truly just about finding yourself and not putting yourself into a box.
Fantastic. Let's go to. I'm enjoying this. Let's go to Lily.
One of my favorite things about Rainbow is the true message behind what we learn being in here. 10 to 20 is such fun, like fundamental, like developmental years that will carry, like the things we learn now will carry us throughout our lives. And so many things throughout the ritual have taught me how to live my life better and to be a better person. Like my station of hope, I think about a lot during my life and throughout the other things that I do. And the messages behind are really something that keeps me like coming back to Rainbow, as I always have. I just think it's so important for young girls to be empowered by these messages.
No, well said. It must be very special being a rainbow girl, like it is being a Freemason, and you get to do the ritual stuff and all that kind of stuff that no one else gets to do. And one thing as a Masonic with a ritualist, and I don't, I don't know the rituals that you lovely girls do, and I guess I got to, visit and see the fantastic
You
stuff that
need
you
to
do.
visit because I tell you what, Sam, this is some good stuff. I've seen them do it.
Yeah, absolutely. And
Good.
what my point being is that from my life experience, the ritual has made me become a better person by understanding these deep meaning words, these words that have been carried out through wisdom through the generations. And they might sound a bit, old and dusty, basically, but there is a lot of wisdom, within the ritual that's been passed down and carried through. That you ladies are like light bearers, carrying the tradition and the ritual, and it does make you pause. And sometimes when I go back and I've got to give some ritual and I read and I get more deeper into it, it just opens up my eyes. I'm like, wow. And so the ritual has made me a better man. And in Masonry, it's about becoming a better version of yourself. And it sounds like Rainbow Girls is very much emblematic of being a better version of yourself. So what you said has touched me very much. And I guess you're very privileged and lucky to have this fantastic experience. And I hope more ladies get to experience what you're experiencing by joining your organization. Let's go to Stephanie. Stephanie, any last words, young lady?
I would say, especially for the people who are more curious about Rainbow, definitely reach out and try and find your local assembly or come to one of our state events, especially a closed event for people that are able to come to closed events, and just come get to know and meet the girls and get to see what we do and stuff like that.
That's awesome. And let's go to Jalen the Younger, although the Jalen the Elder is not that old. She's only 18. So let's go to Jalen the Younger.
I definitely think my message to the girls that are thinking about coming into Rainbow, I know that my first impressions, I was very jarred seeing all these girls do these huge events and all these different big words and all these rituals. And I was like, how can I ever be like these girls? But the thing that these girls need to realize is that if you stick with it, it comes naturally. And Rainbow, a famous thing about Rainbow is that you put into it, you get out of it what you put into it. And if you put in the time and the effort and you stay with it and you don't give up on it, you will get such beautiful things out of the organization, rather it be the meaning in the ritual or opportunity for a Masonic scholarship for you to be able to go to college. Rainbow is such a beautiful thing that can help you inside and out. And as long as you stick with it and stay with it and stay true to it, it'll be true to you in the end.
I'm ready for a new crusade and spreading the rainbow light now. No, absolutely. I want to, go out and tell my friends about it who have daughters, and there's it's about, I guess the job for us, especially on the podcast, and you ladies, is making people aware of this, this fantastic thing that you all do. And let's finally go to the other Jalen.
Yeah. So I feel like a message that I want to mostly get across is that you um you do not have to rainbow looks different for everybody. It looks different for me than it does for Stephanie, for example. And kind of what I want to get to that is you do not have to be a part of the grand family or the state level to reap the benefits of what rainbow can give you. I feel like a lot of the time we do not give rainbow would not be what it is without our local assemblies. Rainbow cannot function without our local assemblies. And I feel like at sometimes we put kind of too much of our attention to the grand family and what we're doing, where at the end of the day the backbone of our organization is based on local assemblies and local girls. um, Another point is in rainbow it is so if you seriously if you go to like maybe like 5 events, um, you will find some of your closest friends. I've met some of my closest friends in Rainbow the first event of like my grand family like career.
Oh wow.
And to that, I do not think I would be Grammy advisor today if it wasn't for the friendships that I've made and the support that I have received. So I am just so thankful for just like the lasting friendships that I know will be there for the rest of my life, that this organization has given to me. And yeah.
Well said. Well said, Billy. I'm kind
I
of
do.
I'm kind of pumped and excited. This is awesome. Any questions, sir?
Yeah, it is. It's very, very good. So, last thing I'd like to say, well, first, well, I guess it's a two-parter. First, I'd like to again thank you guys, gals, so much for coming on. You really amaze me, like all the youth groups do, and you're all well spoken, and it's been a pleasure to speak to you. And I hope nothing for the best for the rest of your year because I can tell you guys are organized and you're ready to roll. But if you had in passing, and you can, if Jalen, if you want to start and the rest want to add on, if you was passing somebody in the hall and they'd say, "Hey, we're on our way out, but tell me why I should join the Rainbow Girls," what would you say just in a passing through to make them excited enough to join? What would you say?
Um, Something that I think that kind of draws people in initially are the scholarship opportunities that we have for your future. So if someone was in passing and they were kind of the age that I was, I would say that we have a lot of outreach to support your future career. Um, and then I think that kind of what draws people in. But more than that, it's important to add on to we have kind of like anything that anyone is looking for. If you're looking into more community service, we have that for you. If you're looking into you want a social outlet outside of just school and maybe the clubs you're a part of at school, we have that as well. And I feel like kind of what you were saying too, that is kind of something that is fleeting in most recent years, is that kids do not have that third outlet that they maybe once had. Maybe if you're not actively going to church and you don't have that outlet, or you're not going to like the maybe like the local like YMCA or something, we have that third outlet um, that I feel like is not as prominent as it was um, in previous years. So I think that we have a little bit of something that um, anyone will be looking for an organization or for an extracurricular activity.
And the great thing about Rainbow is that, sorry, this is Jalen Sturgis, is
Uh-huh.
that it's an extracurricular activity that sets you up for life. In school, you can do a sport or a art club and whatever you're interested in, and that is amazing to have a hobby and to have a pastime and something and to be interested in something that you can do. but Rainbow is a pastime that can set you up for your future in so many different ways. And I learned how to change a tire at Rainbow Camp. You learn life experiences and things that'll follow you throughout life forever through Rainbow. And as Lily said before, 10 to 20 are such important developmental years for your life. So why not spend those years in something beautiful and something that'll teach you really how to hold yourself for the rest of your life?
Anybody else have anything they'd like to add on?
If I were passing someone in the hallway and they asked me like my main takeaway about why they should join Rainbow, it would probably be because again with development 10 to 20, it's like that's when you're figuring out who you are. It helps you figure out who you are and who you want to be.
Very good.
This is Stephanie. I would definitely mention the social aspect. Rainbow is a very good place to get to know other girls around your age and get to make a lot more friends. So if I had to mention something small to someone in passing, that's definitely what I would go with.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've already stated, how important the lessons are and how much it's helped me grow. But a small part of it that I find super important is the service and community service we do. Like I rack up like 50 hours a summer doing it because I needed to graduate at my school. And just giving back to communities and people around you is so like such a way to it's a gift that never stops giving. It's a great feeling and you're helping others, and it's something we as a society should do more is help each other out, and it's a great lesson to learn young.
Yeah.
And you know what? People will never forget the little things you do for them, because you can give all the money in the world to somebody, and that does mean something to them. But if you give your time, that's something that means the world to most people.
Well said,
And
Billy.
guys, with that, I can't thank you enough for coming on. And all I can say is Godspeed to each of you, and God bless each of you. And if you need anything from Sam or I, just get a hold of us and we'll do our best to help you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to On the Level podcast, your Masonic podcast. When you are ready, duly and truly prepared, you can always knock on the door.